Sorry, can you repeat that again, Donald?
Roma, where are you from, Roma? Where are you
Oh,
from?
where am I from?
Yes.
Oh, I'm from here, Jakarta,
Okay, yeah.
and I'm at
I
the
have,
moment with my baby girl. She's
okay.
playing on the playground at the Satrio Mega Kuningan. So this is actually I spend time with my kids on the weekend, but when she's on the playground, I would like to learn some from you guys, but the books that you're gonna share about today. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for joining. Nice to meet you. And Gusti is in San Francisco. Okay, everyone, thank you for joining in. We are going to start our meeting. So the mission of book brewers is cultivating the passion for lifelong learning. That is our mission. We want to cultivate a passion for learning. So it is not mandatory. Maybe at school it is mandatory, but here we are self-educating ourselves, and it is a lifelong thing, passion for lifelong learning. Thank you again for joining, and I will put the questions for discussion for each presenter. You will put it on the chat. Okay, so these are the questions, the title of the book, and what is it about. What did you decide to read the book? What are your key takeaways from the book? Is there a question that you would like to discuss? And any questions from the audience? So you can ask the audience for questions. And we aim to finish today at 1:30. Yeah, fully, we can finish in about 90 minutes. All right, so Pipit will be the first presenter. Please, Pipit.
Indeed. Okay. So on the list of book I put in yesterday, it was Beyond Threat, but I forgot that it was wrong. So the correct title is Beyond Terror. Beyond Terror. The truth about the real threat to our world. The reason why I thought it was Beyond Threat is because there is the word threat here. So that's what I remember. So the reason why I read this is because I recently went on a trip and I tried to get the thinnest possible book I have in my collection so I can finish it during the flight. But even with that, I could not finish it. It's kind of heavy. So this is where I ended up, right? So it's around 50%. But I think I have really a lot of good insight from it, and I feel so lucky that I have read this book and chose this book. This is an old book. It's around 2010, I think. Yeah, the book. So it was very in the height of the war on terror, the responses of the US against after the 9/11 World Trade Center. So the book basically criticizing whether the response to terrorism is proportional or not. So it started with 5 chapters defining what is actually the meaning of danger. Is it measured by how many people impacted by it, how many people died from it, things like that? Because if that is the meaning of danger, that means terrorism is actually not the even in the top 5 or top 10 of the most dangerous thing that happened in the world right now. I think the statistics actually the one that was interesting. They said in the same year when 9/11 happened, that time around 2,500 Americans died in this incident, right? While around 500 others are from other nationalities. But actually, during the same year, a lot more people died because of other things, right? So I put it somewhere. Um, I highlighted somewhere. So basically, what's it? Yeah, let me find it. 50,000 people died from heart disease. 15,000 from HIV or something like that. So it's basically by comparison, terrorism. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. So when 3,000, oh okay. So around 2,500 people in the US died from 9/11, right? Around 500 others from other nationalities. But in the same year, actually 30,500 people died from malnutrition, 14,000 died from HIV/AIDS, 62,000 died from pneumonia, 700,000 people died from uh, oh, 30,000 people died from suicide, 42,000 in traffic accidents, 30,000 from firearms related deaths, 20,000 from homicide. To prove a point that actually the terrorism itself claims not even in comparison to other type of things that killed most of the Americans. But then how much money that is invested to actually fight against this causes of deaths is really improportional. So they highlighted how the military spending to deal with war on terror is actually a lot bigger than how the US deal with health issues, for example, which killed a lot more people in their own territory. And so basically criticizing the how terrorism is somehow exaggerated because of the drama and how it's caught on camera, people feel a certain way, that so somehow the government tried to milk that emotion and then justify a huge spending on the war on terror, even though uh, the it could have been used for something else, basically, that can prevent a lot more deaths. Second of all, this book also argued how the war on terror is actually backfired. It doesn't address the real issue why terrorism happened. So the core issue why terrorism happened is of course is because of uh, the poverty, yeah, poverty, of course, competition of resources, and then the foreign policies of the US, basically. So there's nothing the US can do to make people feel angry if they do not change their foreign policy. For example, in the US, they always try to create an impression that they hate our freedom. They hate our freedom, something like that, right? I'm sure you have heard of that before when they claim that terrorists hate our freedom. That's why they want to hurt us. In the book, it says actually they don't care about your freedom. They care about your foreign policies, they said. So the sense of injustice that they felt and frustration is somehow channeled into combined with poverty, somehow make them want to join terrorist organization or something like that. And it talks about how advanced the terrorist organizations manage themselves. Like the reason why Hezbollah in Lebanon was able to affect many people because they provided health care for people that is supposed to be the job of the government, for example. So when the people felt like that actually Hezbollah was the one taking care of them instead of the government, then people's loyalty actually goes to the terrorist organization. Although the status of Hezbollah as a terrorist organization is still debatable until now, right, in Lebanon. But according to this book, uh, the terrorist organization in the states, quote unquote, terrorist organization have done a good job in trying to win the hearts and the mind of the people. Which is funny because winning the hearts and the mind of the people is the US tagline during the Afghan war. Yeah, but actually the one who was able to win the hearts and mind of the people were the terrorist group. Like at least terrorist here um is in the definition of the US. And then so somehow the US has this aura of control and responsibility. And while this is actually very far from what is actually happening. So the presence of military in the Middle East, for example, is also one of the reasons why a lot of people are angry in the Islamic world, at least. At least, so that's another interesting point that I could see. And the last thing is probably the one that is important is how there is a competition of resources. So two-thirds of the world's oil reserves is actually located in the Middle East, right? So I think that is the main reason why there's a conflict there because of this interest for the oil itself. So all of this quote unquote war on terror, the military base that is set up there, and things like that, it actually is the real reason is because of there's a competition to get access to the oil in Middle East, basically. Especially China is importing a lot of oil, okay, from Middle East, competing with the US. Yeah, so China is importing a lot of oil from Iran, for example. Well, they know that we know that Iran doesn't have a trade relationship with the US. So I think the politics of oil in this book is very interesting to underline. And another one is the one I'm in the middle of reading now is the global militarization. Talks about the arms race, basically, how it's like a time bomb. It's always made. Although I'm personally, I believe in the mutual assured destruction, or MAD, the principle of nuclear. Why we don't have World War III just yet until now is because of the existence of nuclear. That's my personal belief. But according to this book, the global militarization is one of the biggest threats in the world right now, because we don't know when to stop or at what point we will stop. So during the Obama era, the U.S. Stockpiles of nuclear stockpiles decreased, right? I think they had an agreement with Russia, tried to decrease their nuclear stockpiles. That after Obama was gone, they tried to build up their nuclear power again. So weapons of mass destruction, that is the actual definition of the militarization of the world, not the one they accused of Iraq of having. Right? So basically, that's what I can get from this book. But however, the thing that I really like the most about the book is how they underline the sorry, this feeling of injustice when it's felt by the people. It can easily be manipulated. So a lot of people decided to join terrorist group because they feel a strong sense of injustice they see happen. Maybe you know disappointed to their own government or the system that surround them, things like that. So they need someone to blame for their misfortune or the injustice that happened to them. So if there is anyone, there are people who are able to explain that the reason why injustice happened to you is because of this and this and this, then they would like to follow that person of that organization who can explain it to them. This is the reason why you're poor. This is the reason why injustice happened to you. This is the reason why things are so unfair. So whatever this organization say, for example, it's because of the fault of the US, because it's the fault of the blah 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 blah. They're willing to go with it. So I think that is the thing I find most interesting is about the sense of unfairness or injustice that can easily be used to manipulate people. So we have to be careful. How to deal with the feeling when we see something injustice or unfair happen? How do we manage that feeling so it will not be taken advantage of by some other people? So we still have the ability to think straight, basically, even in the face of all of these things. So I think I give the rating to this book 5. I really like it. I had a long journal entry after reading even only half of this book. So yes, I read it this 5. And I have a question from the audience. What do you think is the biggest threat, the biggest terror that the world is facing right now? Go ahead. What do you think?
Is the question the biggest threat or the biggest terror?
What
Which
is
one?
the biggest terror? Biggest threat's actually the same thing in this case. Something which is threatening is a terror to us. So what is the biggest threat to the world that you see that?
Empathy.
Oh,
I
the loss of
think,
empathy?
yeah. Like, because like when people doesn't care about other people, they doesn't cannot cannot put themselves on the shoes of other people, and they don't care about others people suffering, it will create so many problems. Like corruptions happen because those who do corruption doesn't care at all about the effect of their deeds, right? And they don't care that the people are crying for help, crying for justice. They don't care at all because they lost their empathy.
Thank you.
Yeah, my answer is we think only in the short term. Case in point is the fossil fuel. Fossil fuel is a saving of millions of years and is about to be spent in just about 200 years. So it is an extravagant lifestyle. It's like we receive inheritance from our parents and grandparents, and then we sell it, and then we use it for luxurious lifestyle. So that is the illustration that I can give short-term thinking.
Energy crisis then.
Not energy crisis, it is short-term thinking. That is one
Oh,
example. There are
short-termism.
examples.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
Short-term.
Thank you. How about Roma or Kak Mita?
Maybe Kamita first. She is my senior. Kamita, I'm from Bookaholic, so Kamita is the leader in Bookaholic.
Roma,
Yeah.
if you say that I'm senior because I'm older than you, you are right. I'm older. I think I'm the oldest here. So
Okay,
I'm
Kak Mita,
almost
the question for you is, what do you think is the biggest threat the world is facing right now?
the biggest threat the world face at the moment is that we think we are separated from one another. The win-lose mentality, the zero-sum games is the biggest threat because it's impossible for us to be rich when the rest of the world is poor. It is impossible for us to be like the best country in the world when there is one country where people are murdered. So that thought that we are separated from one another, that when they're hurting, we are happy, that's false. That's a complete wrong idea. What is the true idea is that people need to realize that when they are hurt, we are also hurting because we are interconnected. We are one indivisible being. So I think that's the biggest threat that people now just think that we are separated, yeah. So we forgot. And even I sometimes do forget that I'm connected to people around me, the closest ones. So it's very human. But I think we need to keep reminding each other that we're all one indivisible being, interconnected. And when one is hurting, the other is also hurting. Back to you, Pipit.
Interconnectedness, as somehow I feel it's also related to what Christy said, yeah. So interconnectedness, one person get impacted when others are hurt, something like that. So we have to feel the empathy somehow. How about you, Roma? What do you think is the biggest threat the world or the biggest terror the world is facing right now?
Yeah, because you're talking about empathy, I think the biggest threat is also about, I don't know, this chaos. Yeah, I mean, we just had a big demonstration about 2 weeks ago. People burning bus station and all stuff, and then also we had some issues in Nepal. If you follow the news about 5 days ago, and then about 2 days ago about the Charlie Kirk, this for somebody who's voiced out opinion assassinated and all that stuff. So those are the big challenge about this world having a lack of empathy also. So I'm thinking about 4 things about to I guess to overcome this challenge. One is trust, to get the government trust from the people from government again, trust it, basically building trust. And second, the empathy or compassion. We need the leaders to have compassion again for people, and also stability. And the last one is hope, meaning that hope means we have to have a sense of direction. You know, we gotta get the hope again. I mean, if you see the past 2 days, people are looking for hope again because like America is very famous with the state freedom of speech, right? And then now they silence people by bullets or guns. You know, somebody who I don't know. It's just kind of weird thing. Like the gentleman actually pro amendment, Second Amendment, and he got shot by somebody with guns. You know, how fast the guns. You know what I mean? So I mean, but again, what I see that in the social media, their lack of empathy, they're celebrating all that. I mean, people can disagree with people, but somebody doesn't deserve to be killed by just voicing out their opinion, right? So meaning that again, trust, compassion, stability, and hope. Those are the four things that we need right now in terms of this chaos, this challenges that we have in the world right now. So that's my point of view. Keep it back to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we're somehow related, except for Donald, a little bit too far to the side. For me, the biggest threat right now is the incompetent government all over the world. So I think that is the reason for a lot of problems that happen. I just really believe there's no problem in this world that we cannot solve. There's no problem in this world that we cannot solve. The only reason we cannot solve it is because of the incompetent government. So I think that's the biggest threat the world is facing right now, or the biggest terror the world.
Yeah, I have to agree with you because we're losing meritocracy, right? Like even like the I don't know, maybe in Indonesia and in Nepal, because like Nepal, they were voicing out the Nepal babies and all stuff, right? Because and then here, people that like somebody can be a minister from a Gojek driver that didn't go through a lot of education and career or building competencies. So that's the thing. Meritocracy, I think I agree with you, Pipit. We gotta bring back meritocracy. And I think based on the book, if we have people who are competent running the government, probably we'll see a better country or better nation.
I think
Sorry,
I think
everyone. Sorry, everyone. I'm the moderator today. I have 2 minutes to time because there are 4 people and our goal is to finish by 1:30 p.m. It is 20 minutes for presenter. Already 20 minutes for Pipit. So thank you, Pipit, for presenting the book. And we are going to move on to the next presenter. We have Mbak Mita, Roma, and me. And maybe Gusti, you also have a book to share?
I haven't finished any nonfiction books yet.
It's okay. And anyone want to go first? Roma or Mbak Mita?
Okay, I'll go quick. Is that okay? Can you hear me?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Yeah.
All right. So my book is called The Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg. Okay, so Tiny Habits is a book that explores how like a small changes in behavior or habit can actually lead to significant improvement in our life, in my life, in your lives. Right? So the book focuses on the concept of creating tiny or atomic habits that are easy to start and how to maintain to sustain it. You know, so this book is written by BJ Fogg, who is a professor at Stanford, right? So he did a research about 8 years, 8 to 6 years on this one. So what the key takeaway from this book is actually how you have a power of small changes, small, easy to do habits. For example, in this book, there's a story of if you want to start having a good body, meaning like a healthy body, he just did every time he goes to the toilet, he did 1 push-ups. Only one push-ups, very easy. So he went to the toilet again the next day, or anytime they go to the toilet, they go another push-up, 2 push-up, 3 push-up, and it becomes a habit to do push-ups every day. So it turned out to be having like 25 push-ups, and it was so easy. Why is he doing that? Because motivation is sometimes it's hard. You know, like you go to the gym, you go to the fitness, and you play for 1 year, and you only go for 3 months, right? It's very hard to motivate ourselves. But if you start with habits, small habits, it's easier to sustain it, right? So he was talking about this, and he has a framework called B equals MAP. B equals MAP. B stands for behavior, right? Equals M is motivation, A is ability, and P is prompt or trigger, right? Let's say my prompt or trigger is to lose 5 kg, right? Right. That's why my motivation is actually to exercise, right? And I have the ability to actually push up and all that. But if you start with small behavior, it's easier for me to actually lose 5 kilo if I start the tiny habits now. Okay. So also the book also introduced the concept of anchor habits, meaning that it's tying the new habits, let's say push-ups after the toilet, to the existing routines. So routines is going to the toilet, right? Like you wash your face or you wash your teeth, right? So tying the new habits and existing routines, which helps me to make it more automatic or flow, right? And then that's one. So tie it to anchor habit routines. And the second one, the last one is celebration, so meaning that to celebrate small success. If I target 5 kilo and I lose 1 kilo, I celebrate, right? I mean, meaning that I have to celebrate it, and maybe I write it down, and by this date I actually lost 1 kilo, 1 kg, right? So these are the things that we do, and then I think I will open up for discussion. But what are your tiny habits? That's my discussion, right? I would like to open with everybody. What are your tiny habits? Because I actually shared a little bit about tiny habits, and I think right now another tiny habit that I actually start doing is actually to read one book and one weekend, like one on the weekend, to read one book or one article that I would like to share to my staff at work the following week, right? So maybe in the terms of quote or something like that. So I always find as a tiny habit, even like one article, one interesting article that I would like to share to others the following week. That's my tiny habit. So my discussion today is like, what are your tiny habits, or what are tiny habits that you're developing now, or maybe in the past that make you more successful right now? That's my discussion topic.
Thank you, Roma, for sharing the book Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg. Anyone want to start sharing your tiny habits? Christy?
Any habits? Well, uh, I don't know if this is a good habit or not, but I usually bring my phone in toilet and then read. So I read like I like to read from Ipusnas, right? From the digital books from digital library, and then I continue read the Ipusnas even in toilet. So I read everywhere, something like that. But yeah, maybe this is a mix of good and bad habit. Oh,
But
and
that's actually a good example, yeah. Because I mentioned about anchor, right? Anchor moments, right? So that's anchor moment, meaning that you tie the habit to your routine. It's just going to the toilet, right? So whenever you go to the toilet, you bring one book, right? So that's actually interesting.
yeah. Yeah. If I don't read any digital book, I bring the book. So I put the book in the kresek, in the plastic bag, and then I read it there. And sometimes also I like to note my reading progress on Goodreads, so I won't forget the important things I get from the book, just like that. That is only, but what I want really to practice after listening to your presentation is how to exercise, because I want to exercise, but it's really hard for me to keep the habit. So maybe I will try to make tiny habits to exercise. Yeah, even though it's small. Yeah, thank you for presenting this book.
Yeah. But can I respond to your question just a little bit about
Yeah.
starting exercise?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
maybe just another example by having a new habit, a small habit, maybe also a support system. Like for example, example, yeah, if you want to start walking in the morning, you can use a tool called Strava. So Strava is actually a tool that can measure your walk, how many steps you walk in a day. Let's say you want to start a tiny habit, just walk for like 1 kilo, 1 kilo, 1 kilo every day before you have breakfast, for example, right? And then, but Strava is a tool also to help you to celebrate success. So like when you walk like an average 5 kilo or how many, let's say 10,000 steps in one day, it kind of like help you to celebrate, to give you motivation from the system. So I'm just saying that there are so many tools out there to help you to celebrate small success, to start a small habit. There are a lot of tools out there. Yeah, so that's what I would like to share.
It's an app on Google Play Store.
Exactly, in Play Store and also in iOS, Android and iOS. It's called Strava, Strava. It's completely free. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Really thanks.
Sure.
Thanks. Check it now.
Yeah, maybe for me first before Pipit and Mbak Anita. So my tiny habit, I think one of them is opening bookmarks. So I have bookmark folders for about anything. So I want to make sure that I do not miss anything without thinking. So at this moment, I have the bookmark folder. I just open it, everything in the browser, and I can scan everything I need without missing anything. Yeah, so I do it daily for different purposes. Yes. Yeah, thank you for sharing.
That's a good example, yeah. So it's very structured, yeah. You have things on the bookmark section, easy for you to find what you know, it's like a favorite things that you would like to visit, right? Yeah. Thank you, Don, for sharing. Anyone else that would like to share tiny habits? David or Flavita?
I like number 2 because 1 is too little, so 2 is not so bad. That's why I like reading 2 pages every time I brush my teeth, for example, or before I go to bed, or after eating. So that would be like reading 2 pages after eating, brushing teeth, and before going to bed. So that's my tiny habit.
Thank you for sharing. One more?
Okay. I just realized recently that I cannot focus. So when I already have some goals and then I become distracted by other goals or someone else's goals or other people's goals. So to fix that, so I can focus in a week, I create this list, can you guys see my list or not? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe this.
Yes.
Gonna see it.
So what I do that every Wednesday, I don't know why Wednesday, probably because it's in the middle of the week that I can measure my busyness. So I list 5 to 7 to-do lists that I have to get done in a week. And every time I got it done, I crossed it out. For example, from last Wednesday to the following Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, I put one thing is the book Brewers meeting today. So because I'm here, so I can cross it out. See, something like that. And every week, these goals can change. So it gives me a room not to stress out. And also in this list, I can put to-do list that I enjoy, such as going swimming. And that makes me love myself first before I do things for the others, because the other things is sometimes a bit of boring or a bit of headache for me, such as having my air conditioner service, fixing the clock that is dead. I don't like doing those things, but because I need to get those things done, I put them in the list, but I also put the things that I enjoy, such as swimming, in the list, or such as probably going for a spa day and things like that. I put that the fun things on my list too. And because of this, in the first week, I remember that my life was like so busy because I had 7, and then I cut it down to 5 the following week, and it was more slowly and manageable. But now I can be brave again and increase it to 7 items again. So that's my example of the changes I've made recently. Back to you, Roma.
That's amazing. That's amazing. How you make changes, yeah. So I guess to wrap it up, so tiny habits actually, even though it's small, it kind of help us to change, And then according to research, Donald, they're like 21 days. If you want to start a habit or if you want to break the old habit, it takes 21 days, more or less, approximately. This is based on research. Yeah. So, but actually, if we start with the small habits, it's easier for us to change. Actually, it's not to habit. All right, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Roma. Actually, there are still time, 8 minutes. So, any questions for Roma about the book?
So the book itself is quite similar to Atomic Habits then.
Yeah,
Is there any
yeah.
difference at all?
Actually, it's I become my sources for behavior that I create for the company. Two sources are BJ Fogg, Tiny Habits, and also Atomic Habits by James Clear. Right. So one is from Stanford Academia, and another one is from practitioner James Clear. So James Clear also have a lot of interesting stories about like a tournament, bike tournament. They keep losing and losing, but then they start changing things. Start small things that they see on their bikes, on their habits when they ride the bikes, right? And then they actually, at the end of the day, they won the competition. So it's another interesting book to explore. And James Clear, Atomic Habits. Anyone has read the Atomic Habits here? Anyone?
I think all of us.
Haven't.
Yeah,
haven't.
but is there any main difference between Tiny Habits and Atomic Habits? Or is it just from
The
the
main
example, or is there any principle difference?
the framework, because this guy from Stanford came up with a framework. James came up with a lot of storytelling. The framework, you can see the curve. You can just Google it later. Is V equal MAP. So he explains the framework very easy and easy to understand for us, right? Because I think sometimes we do need a framework to understand, right? How does behavior change? So behavior equal motivation, ability, and prompt. Sometimes when your motivation high and motivation low, what do you do? So if you're interested to know about the framework and research, read the Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg, but you also read James Clear to see real life examples of how people change using Atomic Habits. So both the books are recommended.
Okay, thank you.
Any other
You're
question? Yeah,
welcome.
Christy, please.
Roma, what was the equation again? You gave like a framework, an equation. What is that?
B for behavior
Yes.
equal M
Yes.
A P. M is for motivation. A
Okay.
is for ability. P
Okay.
is for prompt.
What is
Yeah,
P for?
prompt. PROMT, or a trigger, like a trigger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Prompt. Yeah. Okay.
Prompt.
So can
Yeah.
you give an example, like a new behavior such as reading a book? The motivation is that you want to people in your office to learn more, and the ability
Yeah.
is that it's so easy to read books, everybody can do it. And what's the prompt?
Yeah. Just example. Just a good example, because there's a lot of example about toilet. Because he said about going to the toilet with books, and right. For example, you're in the toilet, and then a phone rings. Right, your handphone, right, in the
Okay.
shower. The phone rings is a prompt. It's a trigger, right?
Okay.
So a phone ring, right? So there's also a motivation. Motivation, whether maybe I have to pick up a call from Mita, right, or from Donald, right? I am motivated to actually answer the call, whether it's high or low. let's say you enjoy your shower more, motivation is low, right? Like, later lah, I call back, right? But then if your motivation, oh, I have motivation to actually just pick up the phone and maybe this is important, right? And then there's an ability, right? Ability to pick up the phone, or whether it's the phone was too far, and then the ability to actually reach out the phone and pick up the phone, right? So this is just an example, right? But then another example, if you want an example from the office, is like, um, the prompt is to revenue, to boost up revenue, for example, right? So the motivation is actually, you want to serve better the clients, right? And then you have ability to serve, like senyum, salam, sapa, for example, to greet people better, to get to know people, to build relationship, right? But then you can start with a behavior, like small behavior, right? Let's say just to have a, I don't know, fond farewell, or warm welcome, to give a warm welcome is also a new behavior, right? So all these things are a lot of examples in the book. So if you want to read the book, or you want to use your chat GPT, then you can find a lot of examples for BJ Fogg framework for behavior, motivation, ability, and also prompt, right? It's very interesting. So if you don't have time to read the book, just watch it on YouTube. He really, really explained it well in the TED. It's called TEDx or TED Talk or something like that. Yeah, BJ Fogg.
Thank you, Roma.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Mita.
Yeah, thank you, Roma, for sharing the book. PJ Fogg, very interesting book, Tiny Habits, and with clear formula, B equals MAP. Thank you again. And our next presenter, Mbak Mita, would you like to present your book?
All right. How many minutes do I have, Donald?
20 minutes, including Q&A.
Okay. So the book that currently I'm reading is called Letting Go, by David R. Hawkins, and the English title, the complete one is The Pathways of Surrender, Letting Go. But the book that I'm reading is already translated into Bahasa Indonesia, and it's a Kekuatan Tersembunyi Sikap Pasrah. Because this book actually belongs to my sister, but she never reads it. So when I found it, I think the book is calling me, read me, because I've been in the bookshelves for years, but your sister never reads me, so I need somebody to read me. So I just pick up the book and read it. And actually, when I started reading this is interesting because it's teaching us to sweet surrender in life. Of course, we take actions, we learn knowledge, we pray, and then after that, after we pray, then I think we need to have faith that God is taking care of everything, and that's the way to do it is by letting go and surrender. What I found about this book is very helpful because one of the chapter is talking about love. Let me read you what I've highlighted this about love, that he says that is really striking because it might be an ideal definition from him, but I think it reminds us to learn to love better. So he says that love is existing in the world by asking people, how can I help you? How can I entertain you? How can I be able to lend you money when you go bankruptcy? How can I help you get a new job? How can I entertain you or be there for you when your spouse passed away? So, according to him, love is our way, how we can be there for the others, how can we be light in this world. So this is more spiritual book, yeah, because he talks about love. And he also mentioned that he says that when we are sincere in giving love, that our consciousness will follow us and we will be surrounded by the other's love. And we begin to realize that love exists everywhere in the world around us. And he also mentions that there are many ways for us to express love. For example, loving our pets, loving our family, loving our friends, loving freedom and independence, loving our goals and dreams, loving our country, loving all the creations in the world, loving wisdom, loving enthusiasm. And he also says that love is forgiveness, acceptance, motivators, appreciation, goodness, kindness, relationship essentials, uh, group energy, and love is also adoring something, respecting somebody, courage, and unity and fraternity. So for me, it's fascinating when somebody can write one whole chapter about love, because I think people take it for granted when we talk about love. And the effect of love, he says, is very important. He says that love heals. Love transforms people's life. Once you become a lover, there are, of course, other things that you cannot do, but there are more things that you can do in the name of love that used to be impossible for you. Now it becomes possible. He says all the miracles in life actually come from love. So love changes everything. However, some people are afraid of love, and we really need to love people who are afraid of love, not avoid people who are afraid of love, because our love for these people will change them and will make them be able to love again. And love empowers us. Love empowers people around us, and love makes people do the things that seem impossible, but actually they are possible. Love creates gratitude. When we love something, we become grateful for life and also for all the things in our life. Sometimes we become grateful for our pets, for our children, for our spouses. So we should pray for love, and when we are around people who love one another, actually we can experience their love energy. When we are around people who we love, or the family we love, the friends we love, actually this love is contagious. So his message is be around those who love you, because love is contagious. And there are many other things that, because of the time, I cannot share. He also says that the effect of surrendering is improving our health, because he mentions on page 346, he says that all diseases happen when you reach 50. I'm 51. Now I understand that some of these diseases I'm experiencing. For example, he says that there is a ear problem and a pain in the ear. And I started experiencing when I hit 50. And he said cholesterol problems, also one of them. And for me, another one that is really bothering me lately is my teeth. And he also says that is one of the symptoms that when you hit like 50. So he says that in addition to do medical things, he also encourages to pray and to surrender to God for all the problems and everything in life, because when we let go to God, we become healthier. Our body becomes empowered to heal ourselves. So maybe those symptoms come from stressing out little things that we cannot control. Because now, the older you get, you realize there are so many things in this world you cannot control. I say that I don't want to think about the war anymore, about the shooting or about the demo because I cannot even fix my clock, because I cannot control that. So I think I'm letting go some of the things I cannot control to God, and I'm focusing on the things that I can control, which is, for example, attending book brewers and sharing with others, surrounding myself with people with the same frequency and interest. And that's all. I think that's my conclusion. So back to you, Donald.
Thank you, Mbak Mita, for sharing the book, Letting Go, The Path to Surrender. Any questions from the audience?
I think I agree about love conquers everything, right? Because when we have challenges like, remember that we had a pandemic a while ago, about 2019, 2020, until 2022, right? And then we have some people dying, and people sick and people getting laid off from companies. That's where actually love conquers everything. Everybody get together and then help each other. I remember people sending food like Gojek, like when you're having a corona or COVID, right? And you're being isolated, and then people just helping each other out, and that's where the love conquers everything. Even though you
I think Roma is being
think it's actually
disconnected.
yes,
Mm.
yes. Can you still hear my voice? I'm okay.
I
Yes,
can.
yes,
I
I'm
can.
good. Okay, yeah. So that's just an example of when love conquers everything. I really love what you shared, Mita. Thank you.
Mm.
I agree with you, Roma. Yeah, the pandemic has taught us to be more caring with one another. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know,
I
maybe
want to
if I can just grab one more example, just one short example. Another one is when I was working in a hotel called JW Marriott and Ritz-Carlton. I was working for both properties because I was on shared service. And then we had a bomb in 2010. And then there was like people dying, and then that's another example of love conquers everything, because the ex Marriott, they're already working at somewhere else like Hyatt or Four Seasons at that time. And then they all came and then brought food for everybody who's hurting and at the moment, and then everybody who's still having trauma or sad. They just lost their loved one, they just lost their properties and everything, but they keep sending food, they keep sending help, donation and all that. And I'm like, hey, they're already gone. They're not even in the property anymore, they're already somewhere else. They're like ex-employees of Marriott all get together to help each other. So that's also another example of love conquers everything, what I experienced. Thank you.
Yeah, I remember that time, Roma, because my office, DDI, used to be in Menara Raja Wali and next door to a Marriott Hotel. But I wasn't, at that time, I didn't have any projects that made me have to come to the office, so I was at home. But my friends who were in the office on that day, they were shocked. So when I returned to the office, I just listened to them sharing their shocks, but they're deeply shocked. And I think for a few days or a few weeks that we didn't have to go to the office because of that situation was really, really shocking. And I think some people also died. Like I can see my friends getting hurt too physically, but it was such a big event, incident for a lot of us and affected people who work in that area. Yeah, I remember that, Roma. So I didn't know that they keep sending food and visiting and saying good things to them. So that's a good thing. That's a very strong hotel community, yeah, Roma.
Very strong, very strong. Maybe one more story. There was this guy, my
I'm
friend
sorry,
was
Roma.
from
I
I'm sorry,
think
Roma.
Gusti
Yeah,
sorry,
wants to
yeah,
say something
Yeah,
earlier.
sorry. Yeah, because the time is 7 minutes left and Gusti wants to speak. Already raised hand several times. So Gusti first, please.
Oh, I want to ask, I'm sorry, I didn't catch the beginning of your presentation because I was too busy sneezing. But surrender here is surrender to what? Is it surrender to God or something like that? What I caught from your presentation is that love is the key.
Yeah, the connection problem, Gusti. But
Gusti, I cannot hear you.
the question was surrendered to what or to whom? Yeah.
Okay. At the end, there is a chapter about questions and answers. So the author here says that all this surrendering is not in opposition of any spiritual ways or religion. So surrendering means is surrendering to the universe, to God, to the transcendent power that is beyond us. Because most of us, we think that we are the controller of the universe. We have the power to control everything in life. But when we get stuck, then we become stressful and we become ill or we feel down. And that's what he says. So he says this in this chapter, all the spirituality and religions emphasize the necessity to expand our ability to love, and love is the essence of surrendering. So that's his conclusion. So one way to surrender is by loving. For example, I'll give you an example, Gusti. Like I just began a new relationship with a significant other, yeah. So of course, in the beginning of relationship, you just started learning that there are so many annoying things that the other person is doing. So I start becoming overthinking using, oh, according to this, according to the rules, according to my experience before. And then I stop. And then I ask myself, in these circumstances, what would love do? And then when I start asking myself that, what would love do? What would you do as love? Because you are love. I am love. Everyone in this room is love. The manifestations of divine love. So after I ask myself, what would love do? The answer is just accept that person as he is, and then nothing matters anymore. And that actually took away all my stresses and the overthinking and the frustration. And I started becoming more peaceful because what would love do? Love would forgive him, what would accept him for who he is. And that's just one example. I hope that answers your question, Christy. Back to you,
Okay, thank you.
Donald, the moderator.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Gusti. Roma, would you like to share your story? You want to give one more example?
no, it's okay. I think Pipit hasn't shared yet. I think she can go first.
Yeah, I think people is driving.
I
Pipit,
have,
you want to?
I have.
Oh, okay, please.
No, I mean I have shared, so I'm fine.
Okay. Any more question? Okay, if not, then thank you, Mamita, for sharing this book. Letting go, I think we have talked about the love aspect and surrender, and also the last part is one way to surrender is by loving. Thank you again for sharing the book. Now for the last presentation, it is my turn. I would like to share a book titled Fall of Civilizations by Paul Cooper. I like to read history, and this book is, okay, I will go through the questions. The title of the book is Fall of Civilizations, and what it's about why some civilizations throughout history, from the beginning to the latest one is about 1800, why they fall. And the definition of falling here is that the civilization no longer has any building. So, for example, in the past, they have towns or cities, and the cities were just left. So it is not like one country is defeated by the other, and then they just assimilate with the new situation. No, it is fall. So an epic fall of civilization. Why did you decide to read the book? Because I like history, especially history that gives big picture of so broad history. And I really like to learn from history, and this book, because it is about the fall of civilizations, I believe it can teach me a lot of things. What are your key takeaways from the book? So before I answer that question, one thing that I like about this book is that it covers chronologically from Sumeria, the earliest history, because history is defined by having the writing, written documentation, to the latest. The latest one is Easter Island. So chronologically, it encompasses the whole human history, and also geographically, it encompasses all continents. And that is what I like about this book, because most history books focus on the Western world. But this book talks about the Roman Empire, and then the empire in the India, in China, in South America, in Mesoamerica, and even in Polynesia. So, and Africa. So the entire continent, I think, is covered. And now the key takeaways. So from this book, the causes of the fall of civilizations are usually a mix of several, and one of the common threat is climate change. They have agriculture, and then because of drought, there is famine, and because of the famine, the enemies of this civilization, they attack in attack this state, weaken state. So that is one common cause. The climate change that result in poor production, which weaken the state. Another common cause is cruel ruling. So because the is very cruel, the ruler have many enemies, and at the slightest chance, the east will try to dethrone this dynasty or this empire. So there is another common threat of the cause of the fall of civilizations. And another one is technology. So there are Stone Ages, and then Bronze Ages, and then the Iron Age. An empire could be strong, but if it doesn't have the latest weaponry or technology, then it can be defeated. Those are some of the most common causes of the fall of civilizations. And actually reading this book makes me understand that in the span of history, a civilization could last for hundreds of years, but then fall. So it makes me think about the nations of the world today. The nations of the world today are still relatively short in age, still relatively young, while this book talk about civilization in the with the age of hundreds and even thousands of years, 1,000 years. Yeah, so it's a great book. I didn't expect much from this book, but it is one of the best books in history. If you love history, I can recommend this book because it is very broad, very clear, encompasses all time and geographical region. That's all from me. Any question?
So the key takeaways is what the civilization, what, how many years? 100 years is it?
Some civilization, several hundred years. One in particular, Byzantine Empire, the Eastern Roman Empire, lasts for 1,000 years.
Even after 100 years, what happened to the civilization?
The extinct. So that's the unique thing about this book. The extinct. The city is left inhabited. So one example is the Angkor. Now there is Angkor Wat in Cambodia. It was a great city, as bigger than New York City today. The area 1,000 square kilometers, but after that inhabited. So all the population are gone. So that's what happened. So very dramatic.
I have a question about cruelty.
Yes, please.
You said earlier that cruelty was one of the factors that made civilizations fall, yeah, because at any chance they get, they will like to dethrone this whoever the leaders because they're cruel, right? But don't you think that that time cruelty was necessary because that's how they conquered other territory? And then if you just like happened to Roman, how did Roman Empire, how long did it last?
I think about 400 years.
400 years, right? But it was nourished by blood. Well, like almost cruelty was necessary to run such a vast empire. Mongol as well, right? I think all of them are known to be cruel. So isn't that creating a difficult situation in which if you want to expand your territory, you have to do it in a cruel way. But if you are cruel, then it will contribute to your fall. So how do we somehow compromise between the two?
Yeah, thank you, Pipit, for the question. Before I answer the question, one more factor I forgot to mention is succession plan. It is a common factor in the fall of civilization is succession plan. So there is a great king, but there is no great succession plan, and as a result is civil war. Okay, so that's another big factor. Now back to the question about cruelty or violence. This is our standard of cruelty or violence today is different, I think, with the people in the past. These are excessive cruelty. So unimaginable by our standard today. And yeah, so for example, Aztec Empire, one of the empires profiled in the book, Aztec Empire, when they go to war, they do not kill the enemy. They just capture the enemy to be sacrificed on top of the temple. And how do they sacrifice these soldiers? They take the heart out alive. So it's very cruel by our standard. So it gives fear at the beginning, but then of course people want to throw them away. One of the good rulers in this book actually do the opposite. This ruler tries to accommodate differences within the empire. So different way of life, different background, and try to accommodate. And the empire was in a golden age because of this. So being accommodating and not cruel is actually an advantage because you will get a lot of support. But unfortunately, this great ruler has another weakness, and that is the succession plan. So because there was no good succession plan after this great ruler passed away, everybody just fight for the throne. So that's common thing that happened.
I agree with the succession plan. That's how Majapahit also fell, right? Majapahit Empire. Yeah, and most of empires. Thank you.
Any other question?
What about Indonesia, Donald? Can we collapse one day and be gone? Indonesia?
Because it is recorded, I do not want to give comments about Indonesia, but you can infer from what I've discussed before about the civilizations. Any other question?
Answer my question, Donald. So it
That
could
means that
happen.
Donald is not Indonesian, kan? So it's a little bit inappropriate.
Oh, Donald, you're not are? Oh, so where
Oh,
are you? Like, are you from
where are you from, Donna?
Yeah.
I'm Indonesian. Who says I'm not Indonesian?
Oh, hey, you are naturalized. You have naturalized. Okay.
Okay, any other question? Otherwise,
Yeah,
we
maybe from me, like I mean, talking about succession planning, right? But what do you think of succession planning in Indonesia at the moment? The succession planning, meaning that we have generation baby boomers, X, Y, Z, and now the succession planning for Z lah, to actually lead the country in 5 or 10 years or maybe 15 years from now. What do you think?
Okay, about a succession plan, I think in history there is an innovation to solve this succession planning problem, and that innovation is republic. Republic is a recent innovation because it happened only in the US. The United States is the first modern republic in 1776, and Indonesia is lucky because we have this innovation already done. So we get it, though we still have to adapt, right, in the beginning and consider that. But modern republic is an innovation to solve the succession plan problem. And modern republic is different from ancient republic because there is Roman republic in the past. Also the Greek cities, Sparta and Athens especially, but it was different because at that time the republic is only one city. There was no way to communicate. Actually, this comes from a different book. This comes from Nexus by Yuval Harari. So ancient republic, they have communication problems, so they can only be in one city. But now, since the printing press, we can have republic with wide area. So in Indonesia, we are lucky because we already have this system with 3 parts of government, right? The executive, legislative, and judiciary. Actually, this is an innovation. So hopefully with this system in place, it can get new leaders which is born by the system. This applies to Indonesia and to other countries as well.
Yeah, I like that. But maybe talking about this legislative, executive, and for example, legislative, the way I think I agree we need to select people, yeah, hiring the best talent based on the background of education and also based on the TOEFL, the TOEIC, the IELTS, and then how people make sure they're competent, yeah. When people are competent, who's filling the seats. Yeah. So I guess that's the what part of successful planning, hiring the right talent. Yes. Thank you, Dani.
Okay, thank you. Maybe one more. Yeah, Gusti, please.
So do you mean that the point why some civilizations still can survive until now is because they move from total monarchy into republics, and what should the civilizations do to avoid themselves from extinction? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Gusti. I think there is no civilization that still stays alive for thousands of years until now. So the entities that we have today, they are new, yeah.
Like Great Britain, Japan,
No,
China.
But they don't have political power.
no, the political entity changed.
Yeah, they're just the king or queen without any political power, so it's not considered a kingdom.
So you mean the current civilization is different from the past, even though they are still located in the same place. Yeah.
Yes. So, for example, London, the current capital of UK, it was a big city in the time of the Roman Empire, a big city. But then the civilization fall and London was become wilderness. Can you imagine that? London was a wilderness. Nobody stays in London after 500, the year 500. So the civilization changed. I think the most long-lasting one that is relatively modern is Byzantine Empire. It is 1000. Yeah, the older one was very old in 4000 BC, Sumerian. Okay, thank you everyone. So for our discussion today, we have interesting books, starting from Pipit and then Roma and Mbak Mita and me and Gusti. Hopefully next week, no, next month, you can also share your book. Maybe we take picture first.
Yes, everyone grab a book.
Can you take the picture, Pipit?
I can. Yeah. Roma, do you have any book close by?
Sorry, I left my book in the car. I'm at the
Okay.
moment just cooking. Okay.
Let's pretend, yeah.
I'm
One,
reading.
two. All right, thank you. Oh, Gusti's gone. Wait, again. One, two.
Wait, the background.
Yeah.
How?
It's okay, no need. Put the book in front of you. Yeah. No, not in front of your face. One, two, three. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you for joining in. Thank you Gusti, Mbak Mita, and Pipit. And see you next month. It is in the second Saturday. I haven't seen the date yet. The date is second Saturday, 11th. Yeah, October 11th.
Okay. Thank you
Thank
so much,
you.
everyone. Have a nice
Bye.
weekend. See you
Thank
next
you.
Thank you
month.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.